So thank you for joining me. I hope you're sitting in the grass. That is relevant to what we're talking about today in our time together. I appreciate you being here. So 4 or 5 months ago, I was having a conversation with someone, and we need to remember that it is okay to ask a question that we cannot answer. And I still can't answer the question, but because of something recent, I want to talk about this conversation that I had 4 or 5 months ago. So we just had the 40-year anniversary of course, the worst nuclear disaster on the planet, the Chernobyl incident that happened in 1986. And I was listening to this documentary on what Chernobyl is like now. So there's bears, there's wolves, there's fox. There are these horses that were like on the verge of extinction, these Preswaxi horses. I apologize, I don't know how to pronounce that. And of course there are genetic mutations, and of course people should not be there. But the point is that these animals have adapted, and there's animals that live in this area. So when Chernobyl happened, they ended up calling it the Red Forest, this 10 square miles around Chernobyl. The pine trees absorbed all the radiation. It turned all their needles this ginger brown color. They died, and they took all the pine trees and they buried them in the soil. But now what's growing there are some other types of trees. There are some pines that have come back, but there's birch, aspen, and oak that are growing. So here's this land that was damaged, but even though it's been 40 years, there is some regrowth and some renewal. Okay, so I'm telling you all of that to kind of tell you now onto that conversation from 4 or 5 months ago. So I can't really adequately answer it, but the statement that I made was that how do we know that in amongst God's trees and the grass, etc., that in those things that God created, He did not give them something to sort of heal them internally. Now you see where we're going in our time together. So the conversation was, how do we know that trees don't have some ability to repel certain insects, to withstand certain things that could be destructive to a tree? That I believe God gave His creation something internal in it to resist certain things that would be bad for it. You know, an ecosystem, there's plants that grow well together, plants that don't, etc. And I believe that God gave His creation, His trees, something to make them survive and thrive and continue despite destruction. So that was the conversation that I had, but I couldn't answer it. But it was a question, it was a statement, and I think it's worth asking. So then when I watched this or listened to this thing on Chernobyl, it reminded me of that conversation, because if God is going to renew the people of Israel as He did, I'm going to share a passage with you from Ezekiel. If people can be restored, why can't God's creation be restored? I mean, I think Chernobyl is the perfect example of a place that was devastated, but it is recovering. So in Ezekiel 36, verse 25, and this is for the renewal of Israel, but you get the point. It says this: "Then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean. I will cleanse you from all your filthiness and from all your idols." And I know that that is related to Israel, but if God can restore people and a nation and countries, then why would God not give His trees, the birch tree that you see in the picture if you're looking, however you're watching, the birch tree, why would God not give a birch tree what it needs to survive and to thrive and to sustain? So the question is it in there? I think it is. I can't really prove it scripturally, but it seems like it would make sense. So it's okay to ask a question that you can't answer, and I think we can all learn from this as well. God bless you all. I so appreciate you being here. Armor up, we ride at dawn. May God bless you as always. Have a great day.